Okay, so we've got both cars sat out here in our courtyard. The next topic we're going to speak about is the spec that each model comes with, and we can kind of determine whether, for your money, one gets you more spec than the other. So as we already said, the 997 Gen 2, as you will see from the rear badging, is a Carrera rather than a Carrera S or Carrera 4S. And the reason we're using that is because for this price range, I think that's the fair comparison. If you went up to a Carrera S or a Carrera 4S, they're more money, and they're definitely more than the comparable Cayman S, and it wouldn't be a fair comparison. So if you've got the £40,000 budget-ish, we're going to use this. So the Carreras generally, because they were a cheaper car from new, are less well spec'd than the Carrera S's and Carrera 4S's. They came with less spec from standard, and people generally didn't spend as much money on them. So this car is actually unusual in the sense that it's got a bit of a Carrera S spec. We've got Carrera S wheels have been spec'd and paid for. We've got sports hardback seats that you don't often see in the normal Carreras. What else have we got? We've got heated seats as well. And we've got PASM suspension. Down there you will see PASM suspension, which the Carreras don't often come with, but the Carrera S comes with from standard. So ordinarily, like I say, with a Carrera, it's kind of difficult to find these bits and pieces on the car, and that leads me on to my point. The Cayman S's, because it's the S variant, tends to have been spec'd a bit more highly from factory by the person that bought it from new. So for example, they all come with the, well, one design or another 20-inch alloy wheels, and inside you'll tend to get some more paid for options. So this one, for example, has got my favourite option, the sport design steering wheel with the flappy paddles rather than the buttons on the front. We haven't got sports hardback seats, but you'll find quite a lot of them do. And being a Cayman S, it comes with the sport mode, but again, not PASM. So there we are. My point, I'm kind of rambling, but my point is, generally speaking, buying these two variants second hand, you tend to be able to find the Cayman S with more spec than you do a Carrera. You'll often find they're quite a basic spec. No. Right.
This isn't got nav, is it?
Hello everyone, we're in the Cayman. Let's go for a spin and try and express our thoughts, yeah.
Yeah, no worries.
By the way, one thing, I just thought when I was setting up this camera, when you jump in one of these, don't you think it just smells a bit more plasticky?
Yeah, it does.
Every time I get in.
Yeah.
Because the dash and everything isn't extended leather by standard, you have to pay for it. And the door cards are all plastic. It just smells more plasticky in here. One thing I noticed straight away, even when you were doing the inspection earlier and I heard you drive past, is the gear change in the Cayman S with the PDK box is quicker, isn't it? You can just tell it's quicker than the Gen 1. The Gen 1 PDK is still really good in the 997 Gen 2. But in the 981 and the 991 they did improve the gearbox. Who's been driving this? Brad?
No, I've been driving it.
Like Brad.
You like that steering wheel close to you, don't you?
Yeah, that's how I used to. When I was racing, I used to have it quite close. You meant to have it close. Do you know how you tell you put it in the right position?
To full lock.
Nah, you put your arms out like that with your seat, with your shoulders back in the seat. Your wrist should be on there, so it's still not close enough, really.
Really?
Yeah.
Why does it have to be close to allow the full lock?
Yeah, and also in karts, when you turn, you actually push on the steering wheel with your upper hand. And when you push, you transfer the weight onto the front, and because it doesn't have a differential, it's made to lift the opposing rear wheel, so it doesn't scrub when you go down around the corner.
Right.
So just the outer wheel will be touching the ground, so it doesn't scrub and lose your speed. What do we reckon to the noise of these two cars? I think with the standard exhaust, so they've both got normal non-Porsche sports exhaust, I think these sound better than the Gen 2.
Yeah, most definitely.
The Gen 2s are a bit muffled without the sports exhaust.
Yeah, definitely. When you rev these completely out, they sound amazing.
Oh yeah, these have got the high red line.
Yeah.
So these red line at 7,800, and the Gen 2 997 red lines at 7,200. My perfect spec for one of these. My three things, I just want the seats. The main thing is the steering wheel, and then the exhaust. I think the exhaust on a Cayman S is less important because they still sound good.
Yeah, they still sound really good.
But on a Gen 2 997, I want the exhaust.
Yeah, 100%.
Speed-wise, we can talk about that.
Yeah.
So 981 Cayman S, 325 horsepower. 997 Generation 2 Carrera, so the one we've got there, the 3.6, not the Carrera S, is 345.
There's not much difference, is there?
Nah, but that, so, I mean, if you're playing top trumps, that means.
But in terms of weight difference as well, do you reckon there's much difference in weight?
I think they're pretty much the same, we'll have to have a look. Obviously the next generation of Cayman, this, and the 991 grew in size, didn't they? If you put this alongside, that's what we always tell customers.
Yeah.
981 Cayman S is the same size as the previous generation 911, they've grown in size. So this is like the sports car now, the 991 is almost a GT car.
1460 for a 911.
997 Gen 2?
Yeah, 1,460 kilograms, and then this is 1,395.
Okay, so it's about a person then.
A little bit squirrely.
Yeah. Slippery roads today.
The sound's amazing.
Do you know what it is? Because it's set mid-engine as well, we've just got the induction literally behind our head.
Yeah.
I don't like how even now in the Caymans, in this one, which is quite a new one, they're still only doing 3 dials. Like Porsche's 5 dials, and they're still just putting 3 dials in them.
Yeah, it's very true.
But obviously the electronic readout in this generation is
it's really
nice. I think the suspension in these is spot on as well without PASM. Like they've set it so it's compliant but still sharp and doesn't roll.
No, you don't get any body roll.
No.
It's really...
It's slippery.
So you get scared?
Yes.
Why?
My bum's clenched. I don't know if the heated seats on or if it's something else. They've all got the cloth headlining as well, unless you spec otherwise.
Yeah. But at least they've changed the vanity mirrors.
Yes, they don't all break now.
But they don't have a light in them.
Yeah. They're made a bit cheaper, aren't they?
Yeah, they probably are, aren't they?
They are. Like we've got the plastic dash and door cards. We've got cloth headlining, vanity mirrors without lights. It's well dodgy in there.
Yeah.
Did I what?
Did you double check your hair before you came out to film this?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels smaller, doesn't it?
In here?
In terms of width. It's really weird.
Yeah. I haven't got a rear wiper in this car. I don't like them, but I want one right now.
Sport seats, much nicer.
Yeah, so we've got sport seats in this, but I haven't got the sport wheel, so I've got the steering wheel with the buttons rather than the paddles, which I don't like. No one likes it.
No, I don't particularly like it. But yeah, it does feel smaller in here, I think.
Do you think?
Yeah, I don't know why. It feels wider, the car, in the other one.
Just smells more leathery.
Yeah.
Leather door panels, leather dash, Alcantara headlining.
Yeah.
Like that's just the 911 being more, and lights on the vanity
Yeah.
that can break and cost 120p. Steering wheel doesn't come out as much. Got more adjustment on that Cayman S. Miles away.
Oh yeah.
The gearbox isn't as, like, it's just as smooth, it's just not as instantaneous.
Yeah,
And they're just, we've spoken about this before when we did that PDK video, they're just a little bit hesitant from a standstill, like to reverse.
Yeah.
And out of junctions from a first, they're just a little bit hesitant.
They are hesitant.
Like when you're trying to put them on a trailer, they're just a pain in the arse. Generation 1 of PDK. So this car, because this one, a Carrera wouldn't ordinarily, like I've spoken about, have PASM, but this one has got PASM. And in this non-sport mode, we're in comfort mode at the moment, this feels a lot softer than that Cayman S, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That Cayman S, with its fixed suspensions kind of in between these two modes, if I put PASM on, suddenly this becomes sharp. That's now harsher than that Cayman S, isn't it?
Do you feel the already like this has got, jumping straight into it, it's got a bit more low end torque.
Yeah. In a word, yeah. They do feel a bit more torquey, don't they? Just wakes up from lower revs a bit quicker, doesn't it? That suspension's actually pissing me off going through this village. I'll put it back on when we get on the main road. Look at that rainbow!
That's a very nice rainbow. So colourful.
Do you reckon there's a Ford Orion at the end of it? You just get there and there's a concourse Ford Orion. I like the steering more.
Yeah.
You can just feel it. Like, you can feel all these like bumps and the cambers and like you can tell that the weighting of the steering is the natural weighting rather than the artificial electronic sensors.
It's just far more feedback, isn't it?
Yeah. What I will say straight away, this is louder road noise at these speeds. So that's got better sound deadening than that Cayman-S.
Much louder.
It's a little bit faster. You can feel it. It is a little bit faster. Doesn't sound as good though at all, does it?
No, not at all.
I'm gonna whack it in seconds.
If we had sports exhaust, it'd be a whole different picture.
Also because the intake's the other side of us, the other side of the engine, you can't hear that. That doesn't sound as good. So if you get a Gen 2 without a sports exhaust, we'll retrofit it for you as per the last video. So because this is a Carrera, I haven't got sports modes, which the S would come with, and that sharpens up throttle response and more importantly the gearbox changes, which I'm missing at the moment, not having that. But again, that's something we can retrofit. We can code that and we can get the switch panel. With regards to like the seating position, they feel very similar. I mean, we've got the raised centre console on the 981 and the 991, but because it's a PDK, you're not touching anything there anyway.
Yeah.
So it makes no difference. When you've got a manual car, it does. But Porsche never changed the ergonomics of like the seating position. Like whenever we jump from one to the other, everything's just like exactly the same position.
Yeah.
Like the pedals, the spacing of the pedals is always the same. Steering wheel's always bang in front of you. Like I was saying, I prefer having the 5 dials.
Yeah, definitely.
But obviously in this generation 2997, we've got no digital dials, whereas in the Cayman-S we've got that digital one on the right hand side where you can flick through. The Gen 1 997s sound much better than these.
Yeah, completely.
Right, you'll go.
Time to skate again.
You think it feels smaller in here?
Yeah, I do, yeah. I think if you actually look at the car, if you get them side to side and look at the car, the middle of the car is probably, just the middle bit is probably wider than this.
I'm gonna get my tape measure out when we get back. That's not as quick. Like you click the button, you can hear the click, and then you can blink before it changes. Whereas the 981, you can't blink; it's changed already. That second gen PDK gearbox, it did improve it. I think they're both for very similar purposes, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
Like you could use either of them daily. It's like someone that likes driving and likes driving quickly, but also wants to use it daily. Like either of these cars can fulfill that purpose.
Yeah. There's just slight differences in both of them, like you say with the road noise.
Yeah, this one is a bit louder.
You'd probably want to do a longer trip in the Cayman.
Yeah, you would. Yeah. But if you got kids, like at least you can.
More luggage.
Put them in the back.
Stuff in the back.
Yeah, you say luggage, but saying that, the Cayman's got the boot in the back.
Yeah.
You probably get more luggage in the Cayman.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, these are quicker.
Why are you holding up?
The van!
That's no fun.
Oh, fuck off! For fuck's sake, you're a prick. Stop! Right, we're back. Got both cars here. We're going to have a little debrief. We've been talking about I can't decide which one I prefer. I can't really decide, so Ollie said let's just go through. I mean, look, so firstly, we went through all the maintenance items and how much they're going to cost to run. The 997, without doubt, is going to cost you more to run or to get to a standard straight away. Yeah. Unless you buy from somewhere like us where we've already done that. And expect to spend more money on it if it hasn't had those bits done. I don't know where to go with it. But what about looks? We haven't spoken about looks of the cars. I mean, it's subjective, but...
Yeah. The Cayman is almost far more swollen. That's the way I would put it. Everything's sort of a bit beefed up.
That's what cars are doing when they get newer, aren't they? Walk around. The wheels are bigger.
You're at 20 inches.
Wings are bigger.
Yeah.
All the lights are bigger. The air ducts are bigger. But the size of the car itself, I bet you if you look at the dimensions on the website, they're the same. Right, so what else are we going to talk about? Comfort.
Comfort-wise, it's got to be this car, I think.
It was quieter. The road noise is quieter in this compared to the 997.
And in general, suspension comfort, would you say?
That in soft
that's
mode.
Probably in soft mode.
In soft mode, that's probably more compliant over bumps.
But over a long journey, I'd say I'd lean far more towards the
I probably would. The creature comforts are a little bit more advanced in it as well, aren't they, to be honest?
So I'd probably lean more towards the this and that, but for rawness and how it actually feels on the road.
I mean, we were talking about
Driver
practicality,
experience.
weren't we, about luggage space. You've got the rear seat space in that, but you've got the rear hatch in this. I mean, look, just open up the hatch. Open up the front of that. I think it's open.
Well, you've got that as well.
That's what I mean, open that. So in the 997, we've got this. So the 997 was the first generation of 911 to get rid of the space saver wheel. It's not too bad in there.
It looks like you've got a bigger, slightly bigger trunk as well. And then
they're similar, but it's the back, isn't it? The Cayman, we've got this.
yeah.
And in the 911, we've got. We can put those seats down, and we've got that big parcel shelf, but it's awkward to get stuff in.
Yeah.
So probably same space, but just a bit more awkward. You wouldn't get your BMX in that though, would you?
But I probably could if I tried. If I dismantled the whole thing.
Power. That felt faster, and it is faster.
Yeah.
Sounds. Should we start them and so people can actually hear what we're talking about?
About
These just sound better than those.
Yeah,
if neither have got sports exhaust, these just sound better.
Rev them next to each other.
You got the peak of that one?
Yeah. You go first.
You've got the sports exhaust, they both sound really good, but without, neither of these have got sports exhaust, these just sound better. What else we got to talk about?
How the power's outputted and how it feels. You get far more exhaust noise, and where the engine's sat, you get a lot more intake noise on the Cayman rather than this. But like we said, if this had a switchable exhaust, it'd be a whole different picture, wouldn't it?
Well, I think they're just the same as the sports exhaust. The gearbox is better in this.
Yeah, gearbox is better.
So this has got the first generation of PDK box, that's got the second generation of PDK box. These just feel a little bit hesitant from first pulling away and reverse, and it's not quite, like that's instant, you can't even blink between changes. That you can just about blink between clicking the button and the gear changing.
Yeah.
If we had sport mode, it would make it sharper, but it's still, even with sport mode and that, they don't feel quite.
Quicker,
yeah.
I think in general, this is just more raw, and that's slightly more artificial.
Yeah, so steering, obviously, I much prefer the feel of hydraulic steering. It's been gone on and on about online and other videos and stuff, but you just get more feedback. You do get more feedback, you do feel the bumps in the road. That's very clever with the weighting and stuff, but you don't feel the bumps and the camber and stuff as much as you do traditional hydraulic steering, where you're connected from steering wheel down to the wheels on the road. don't know which one I'd have. I don't know. I was saying, I think they're for similar purposes as well. They're kind of for someone that enjoys driving and likes their sports cars, but at the same time wants to be able to use it regularly or even daily. I think they're both similar purposes.
Yeah, but I think it's dependent on which one. I think if I was to have a daily, if it was a daily car that I was using all the time, it would be the Cayman. But if it was a weekend car that I wanted to take out, it'd 100% be the 911.
Yeah, so you kind of do see them as different purposes then, really.
That's the way I do it.
Come on, Brad, you might have to decide. I think which one would you have? If you had to, if I held a gun to your head and said you've got to choose one.
I think it'd have to be the 911.
I'm 997.
Just because they're never going to die. They're always going to remain the same.
I just think we just stopped for a drink at the shop, and when I walked back out the door and you were just sat in the 911, I just think it's a more impressive, prettier car as well.
Yeah, definitely.
They both stand out in red. That's the best colour for them. Brad, which one would you have?
I'd probably go for the Cayman.
Why would you go for
I
it?
don't know, yeah.
The man with the 1986 car.
I'm surprised.
I know. I don't know.
Manual gearbox, as we know.
Yeah. I don't know.
You like them?
It's just something about that Cayman. Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's hard because they're both, as I said, they're both beautiful cars, but I don't know. So just something about that Cayman just.
Not as nice as the Cosworth, though.
Oh no!
Similar price as well, Brad.
Yeah,
All right, how are we going to wrap it up? I don't really know.
Well, I think we've both decided if the gun was to our head, we'd go for the 911. But like I say, it's very difficult to decide between both of them, and they're similar price, but still have their own different characteristics.
Do you know what I would say though? So we've used this one for the video. Say this one was, Guards Red for me is the best colour, it's iconic. My own car's Guards Red, blah blah. If that was in your least favourite colour, like, just say it was just like a common colour, like silver.
Yeah.
And it had no spec, didn't have sports seats, didn't have PASM suspension, didn't have the 19-inch S wheels, just bog standard.
Yeah, I would be going for the Cayman. So it's spec related.
Yeah, Alright, well,
related as well.
we don't really have an answer then, do we? Okay.
No.
Well, look, I think.
In terms of these two cars here.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, I think just you need to be more careful when buying a 997 Gen 2. That's a good tip, because as you can see, they do need more work doing to them. It's easier to find a nice one on the Caymans because they're newer. That's my only
It'd be
advice.
interesting to see what everyone else wants to do, because I did an Instagram poll and it was 70% people wanted the Cayman.
Really?
Yeah.
We'll put a Friends Green Porsche one on the Instagram. So I'll put a poll, if I can figure it out, on the YouTube comments and let us know. And I'll also put a poll on the Instagram. If people aren't following the Instagram, please do. Quick plug, because we've got like 3,500 followers on Instagram and 11,500 on YouTube. So is that it? We're going to wrap it up here. Thank you. Thanks for watching.